Hi, Bob Umlas again with another tip from Excel Outside the Box, available from MrExcel.com or Amazon.com. In today's tip, I'm going to be showing you some data validation tips from both using the current version of Excel that you have, and then again, if you have the new dynamic arrays using Office 365, currently known as Microsoft 365, I'll show you the much simpler way to do it. So here is, on column A, it says here is the data for the data validation. And if I just click on this drop down and plain old do data validation, you can see it has, here is, this isn't like you'd like to have it. You'd like to have it without the spaces. So using a formula, you can see it has, here is the data for data validation. And I want to show you how to do that. Using the dynamic array, we get the exact same thing, but it's so much easier. And I will show you that as well. So in order to get this as one contiguous range, which it is here, matter of fact, there's a range name that I've given it called DV. If I branch to DV, click OK, that's what highlighted. So the data validation list in here, if I go to data and validation, the list is equals DV. The question is, how do we get this? Well, in column F, I have the row numbers of the data that I'm looking for. So 3, 7, 11, here is the, etc. And if I put something else in here like ZZ, you'll see all that information changes. So it's all done by formulas. And I'm taking out the ZZ again. The pound num we see is valid, and I actually use it. So the first thing to do is look at the formula in cell F3. And I'm going to look at it via a formula text so we could see it better. So I can make it much bigger. Formula text of cell F3, I'm sorry, F1. And let's make that a lot bigger. On the Home tab. Okay, so you can see it's an array entered formula. Again, if you have Microsoft 365, you no longer need to do array entering of anything. But let's take a look at the function. I'm doing a small of if this range, A1 to A21, is equal to blank, nothing, show nothing. If it's not, show the row number. We'll look at the comma row of A1 in a moment. So let's examine this. I'm going to look at this under the Formula tab, and I'll look at Evaluate Formula. It's kind of small, but I think you can see it. It's underlining A1 to A21. If I click Evaluate, you see all the trues and falses of whether it's equal to blank or not. So true here is because it's A1 is blank. True here is A2 is blank. False is because A3 is not blank. So if it's true, which this is again the next evaluation, then I'm picking up the row number. I'm sorry, I pick up a blank. So now I get blank, blank. Otherwise I pick up the row number. So I'm picking up the row numbers 3, 7, 11, 12, which you see in the background. The row of A1 is for the small. The small of all that for the row of A1 is 1. The small of that for 1 is just the number 3. When I fill that down, which is all I did here, this 7 is because this becomes the row of A2, which is A2, which is the second smallest. So now I have all the items in here, and of course there is no 9th smallest, so I get a pound num error. Column G is simply the index of A for what's in F1. So I pick up all the words in here. The way I got the data validation, the DV, to be just that range of cells is by the formula in column H. I'm matching a true on an is error for column G. And the first error is in row 9. So I get a 9 here. And I use that in the name manager. If I look at DV, ignoring the data validation, which is just the tab name, an offset of G1 which is here, the word here. 0, 0, meaning no rows down, no columns over, so effectively G1. And the size is H1 minus 1, which is 8. So I'm finding the first error, minus 1, and that tells me the size of this range, G1 to G8, and comma 1 is the number of rows. I'm sorry, number of columns. So now DV, when I click in here, you can see it highlights just that part, and the data validation picks it up nicely. So let's take a look at what happened when I do dynamic arrays. So I have that over here. I'm going to just close that. So this was done by a filter command. Let me get rid of this. It's in the way. And let me scroll back to the left. So this now says, and I'll use actually equals formula text for J1 and make that bigger. I'm filtering the range A3 to A21. I could have used A1. Probably should have for consistency, but it works both ways. I'm filtering that range where the condition is A3 to A21 is not blank. So A3 to A21 is not blank. If I hit the F9 key, I have a whole bunch of trues and falses. A3 true, that's not blank. False, 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 the next 3 rows are blank, etc. The filter command then, I just hit this one cell and it fills down to here. You can tell, if you're not familiar with the dynamic arrays, you can see that in this formula bar it's like a regular dark text. When I click on one of these others, it's a light gray, because that's not where the formula is. The formula is only in cell J1. Then how do I get that into a data validation? Go back to data, click on here, data validation, and it's a list, and the list is equal to J1 pound sign. The pound sign means I'm referring to what the same range as the dynamic formula refers to. So the dynamic array that's in J1, I don't want to just see J1 here, I want to see what the spill range is of that formula. So that's J1. Enjoyed it? Don't forget, if you're interested, the book Excel Outside the Box, available from MrExcel.com and Amazon.com. Okay.